One eyewitness was standing among a crowd of people on Church Street, 2.5 blocks from the South Tower, when he saw a number of brief light sources being emitted from inside the building between floors 10 and 15. He saw about 6 of these flashes, accompanied by a crackling sound, before the tower collapsed. Ginny Carr was attending a business meeting on the 36th floor of One Liberty Plaza, across the street from the World Trade Center, and caught the first and second planes on tape. In the first recording, 2 distinct explosions can be heard.
What the heck was that?
Was that the Encore?
Wow. So it sounded like something crashed.
So what happened in the North Tower? Ask Willie Rodriguez. Willie, a janitor who worked in the World Trade Center for 20 years, was in sub-level 1 when the North Tower was hit.
And all of a sudden we hear boom! I thought it was a generator that blew up on the basement. And I said to myself, oh my God, I think it's a generator. And I was going to verbalize it. When I finished saying that in my mind, I hear boom! Right on the top, pretty far away. So it was a difference between coming from the basement and coming from the top. And that's, everybody started screaming. And a person comes running into the office saying, explosion, explosion, explosion. He got his hand extended, and all the skin was pulled from his under his arm, all the way to the top of the fingertips, and it was hanging on both arms. Hanging and hanging. And then I look at his face, and he was missing parts on his face. And I said, what happened? What happened? And he said, the elevators, the elevators. And that's something I didn't understand. So I figured, well, it was a generator probably on the elevators. And I said, don't move, because I was going to pick up the phone to call the EMS, the emergency service unit that was located on the South Tower. And they were pretty fast to answer those kind of calls. So when I went to pick up the phone, another explosion. And everything shook, and it was so hard that I thought it was an earthquake. Because the sense of everything moving, I told everybody, get under your doors, door frames. But then I said, no, wait, I heard explosions. I said, oh, everybody out, everybody out. So I started pushing everybody towards the loading dock, from the loading dock, and I took the guy, the name is Felipe David, this a guy from Honduras that I did not know worked for Aramark, beverage supply company. He put all the beverage on the vending machines, and he was actually filling up his cart and doing the inventory to actually go to the different vending machines and fill it up. And apparently he was in front of one of the doors, and fire started coming from all over after the explosion, and all his skin was burning. He put his hand in front of his face, and that's how his skin got pulled over from the heat. And so I said, no, come on, let's go. I put his arm around my shoulder and started taking him outside the building until I saw an ambulance, put him inside the ambulance.
William, how many explosions did you hear total? Too many to count?
There were many explosions. And there were many explosions, and when I actually talk about those explosions, they said that, well, there were so many kitchens in the building, and they have probably those gas canisters. And I said, I don't believe that, because the building was a Class A building. There are very strict guidelines for what you can put in a kitchen. And I really doubt it was gas. Plus, it's evidence that the building have a very huge quantity of diesel fuel storage on the basement. Why? Because they have the mechanical room. And the mechanical room needed supposedly some of that fuel to process the machinery that they have in the basement. So there was a lot of misconceptions of what happened that day in terms of the explosions. But up to date, I haven't received an actual explanation about the different explosions that I heard on the upper floors and not all the way to the top.
The windows in the lobby of the North Tower were blown out, and marble panels were blown off of the walls. This was brushed off as damage from a raging fireball that went barreling down the elevator shafts. However, the World Trade Center's core and elevator shafts were hermetically sealed, aka airtight. The fire could not possibly have had enough oxygen to travel 1,300 feet down. On 9/11, New York City lost 343 firefighters at the World Trade Center. Since they were the ones inside the Twin Towers before and as they collapsed, I'd say they have a pretty good idea of what happened. So what does the FDNY think?
It was like crossing the war zone. There was nobody there. Where the fuck? What do we do? We made it outside. We made it about a block.
We made it at least 2 blocks, and we started running. Floor by floor, it started popping out.
It was like, it was if they had detonated. They were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
All the way down.
Numerous members of Engine 7 described explosions preceding the collapses, not to mention the damage to the lobby of the North Tower.
I heard a loud boom. And my first thing, I was right at the desk there, on the left-hand side when you come into Tower 1. And I walked out, I didn't go out. I walked to where all the doorway was, the glass were broken, and I looked out, and I seen in the building across the street, I seen the shadow coming, I seen just the shadow in the building across the street coming down.
I wasn't expecting to see the damage that I saw in the lobby.
The lobby is about 6 stories high, and the lobby looked as though a bomb had exploded there. All the glass was taken out. There were 10-foot by 10-foot marble panels that were once walls. They were loose from the wall of the Trade Center.
I went around by the freight elevator, and I could see it was just blown. It was just a giant shit. 30th floor. We hear another explosion. And at that time, we heard a huge explosion.
Firefighter Louis Caccioli told People Weekly, "I was taking firefighters up in the elevator to the 24th floor to get in position to evacuate workers. On the last trip up, a bomb went off. We think there were bombs set in the building. For more than a year, the Port Authority blocked the release of a tape of firefighters' transmissions from the World Trade Center on 9/11. In November 2002, the tape was finally released to the New York Times and other news outlets. Why did it take so long to get the tape released?
I got an eyewitness who said there was an explosion on floor 7-8. 7-8. We just had another explosion. Warren Street because of the secondary explosion. We've got numerous people covered with dust from the secondary explosion. And we got another explosion on the tower, 1013. Number 2 has had a major explosion and what appears to be a complete collapse surrounding the entire area. Who's involved in the secondary explosion at Tower 1K? I've got 5.
Chief Oriel Palmer had reached the fire on the 78th floor of the South Tower and devised a plan to put it out.
We got 2 isolated pockets of fire. We should be able to knock it down with 2 lines. They know that. 78th floor, numerous 1045 call horns.
If the 78th floor was a raging inferno like the government would have us believe, then Palmer wouldn't have gotten as far as he did, and certainly wouldn't have been able to put it out.